Hello, everyone. Happy Thursday. I hope everyone is having a great week. The good news is it's almost Friday. Excited to be on here live. I'm giving it kind of a minute just so everything can stream out there onto LinkedIn. If you are hopping on live, we'd love to hear from you. Shout out in the comments. But I am excited to be on here for a second go. I've got Juan on here with me, and we just want to welcome everybody on. We are so excited. Actually, earlier in this year, we did a live feed like this where we kind of talked about some career topics and we got some amazing feedback. And so here we are again. Juan and I have a very unique connection. We actually met out here right on the platform of LinkedIn. It was kind of crazy how we met. He is on the East Coast. I'm here in Texas, but saw that we have very similarities in what we teach through I believe he saw my Next Level Ag masterclass, and then he's got his book, The Improbable Success. And we found connection that a lot of the same stuff that we were teaching applies in both sides. And honestly, no one else out there is doing it, are they, Juan?
No, it's crazy, you would think, but yeah. But thanks for doing this again, Lauren.
Absolutely.
Fun.
So we're excited to bring this back. We kind of got some feedback from you guys and wanted to hear what you guys would like for us to talk about. So today we're going to talk about ignite your career, marketing yourself during times of uncertainty. So Juan, do you want to kind of share a little bit where we found some 5 top topics to talk about?
Yeah, so what's happening right now is I mean, it's no secret. There's some really interesting things happening in the job marketplace. I mean, everybody reads the news every day. And so Lauren and I were thinking about what we could kind of share with you guys, and we landed on 5 distinct sort of areas or topics, which I think are like the fundamentals, the basics, which sometimes professionals that have been doing this for a long, long time sort of forget. And then those that are just beginning their career or those that are mid-career should, remember. So now more than ever, whether you're in a secure place and you're looking to take the next step, or whether, God forbid, you've been impacted by, what's going on in the job marketplace, or whether you're, in your mid-20s and just kind of starting your career, your journey, we thought that we would compile those things. So we're going to talk about 5 things. We're going to talk about LinkedIn. We're going to talk about networking. We're going to talk about resumes, which they're still a thing. We're going to talk about how to sort of leverage your uniqueness, those things that make you yourself, and how you can make those things work to your advantage. And then last but not the least, Lauren is going to talk to us a little bit about never, never, ever closing doors. So why don't we jump right in? And I think people may be joining us right about now. So the first thing we're going to talk a little bit about is LinkedIn. And then it's funny because Lauren and I were having a discussion, in preparation for this chat. And there's just, it's such a deep topic that we could spend like an hour talking about LinkedIn. But Lauren, share with the folks that are joining in right now what you were telling me just a few minutes ago about this topic of LinkedIn.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, so as we're sharing about this and we're kind of chatting back and forth, we'd love to hear your feedback. So comment in the comments. If we see it and have time before we close this up, we'll try to bring the comments on here live, or if not, we will reach out afterwards. So definitely these are some topics of discussion. So we'd love to hear from you as well. So going on to the LinkedIn, what I teach in my masterclass is your LinkedIn is your storefront. As Juan talks about is like, the resume, those have been around since the test of time. But, as he said, like things that even executives who've been in the industry forever, there's things that are evolving, just like, of course, agriculture evolves, technology evolves. The same applies to career development. And there's things of ways to differentiate yourself to be able to stand out, things that you should really be implementing to honestly be ahead of the time or with the time to go forward. And that's LinkedIn. It truly is a professional platform that is unlike any other. For years, people thought of it as just a job search engine that people went out there when they were seeking jobs. And if you're treating LinkedIn in that way, you're really missing the boat. It really is the platform that you can build authority on. It's where people look to for advice. It's how you can network. You can see opportunities, of course, but it's just a trustworthy site that is not like your social media. It's not like Instagram and Facebook that are just, out there telling pictures about your kid's soccer team or your family vacation. It really is a valuable insight, and how you're contributing and how you're playing a role in showing your value is what's going to help you to stand out. I like to say LinkedIn, your LinkedIn profile, and Juan can tune into this. He's hired lots of people through his role. Um, but how it is just as important as your resume. It's your storefront. I love the Will Rogers quote. And if anybody on here has sat through my masterclass, you've heard me say this, and that is that you only get one time to make a first impression. And Juan, I'm sure you can chime into this. I think we talked about it last time, is that when you had several candidates, you went out and looked at their LinkedIn profile, and that was kind of the deciding factor, right?
In many
And,
cases, yeah.
That is your storefront. Whether you are not looking or we're looking, it's something you cannot just flip on and off. And so it's very important, I think, that what it tells a story. Your LinkedIn tells a story when people go out and looked at it. Like, what is your profile picture, your background, your border, your about section, that it's not just a copy and paste of your resume, but what story are you trying to portray? And that's where Juan was talking about earlier. We were having a discussion, perhaps the controversy, maybe unpopular opinion about the open to work
Open
banner.
to work banner.
So my question, what story is it portraying? And that's where I get kind of caught up and struggle from my position as a talent recruiter. It's like, okay, well, what is the story behind this? What is it telling the people who may not know you or may not know the story? What is it saying? Like, people kind of get their perceptions on their own. So that's my thought. But also, there's lots of uncertainty, like Juan and I talked about, and things that are just absolutely out of your control. So I don't know. So that's what we're kind of bringing up, that discussion of, should you go ahead and put that out there? And then, especially after you've landed a position, take that down.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, and also
um,
if you are in a position, right? I wouldn't put that if you're in a position, because that probably would send the wrong
and I've seen that a
message
lot.
to your
Yeah, we're like,
to
people
your
just don't
current
even
employer.
update it,
Yeah.
right?
So
So,
indeed. Yeah, no, so it's a good, I think it's a good topic. I was sharing with Lauren, again, in preparation for a chat today, that and this is a real story happening right now. I go on LinkedIn every now and then, as everyone should, and I find this profile or somebody who was a colleague at Farm Credit in Texas, out of all places, and she had the open to work sort of banner in her LinkedIn profile. And had she not have that marker in her profile, I don't think I would have reached out to her about an opportunity that I knew, somewhere else within the system. So to
mhm,
me, that tells me that it works. But Lauren has a really good point, which is, what are the connotations of that?
mhm.
So more to come on that. But I mean, my personal take on this is, if God forbid you've lost your
Yeah.
job and you've been laid off, then I'm all for it. But I also see other points of view. Speaking of things that work and don't work, maybe this is a good segue to number two, strategy number two, which is networking right, I call it in my book. And real life stories. And when I was out in California, you guys know I do a lot of mentoring and stuff like that. And I met this person who was trying to sort of go to the next, take the next step in her career. This is in Northern California. And she comes to me and she goes, Juan, I go to all these Chamber of Commerce mixers, and I go to all these, sort of association mixers and stuff like that. And I'm just like, I just go there and I just meet people and like nothing happens. And I sat there and I thought, well, maybe, maybe it's because you're talking to the wrong people, right?
Mhm.
So there's only so much time in the day. And as a professional, even if you are fully and gainfully employed, you should constantly be networking. You don't network. If you're networking when you are out of work, you're probably late to your networking. In fact, I would argue you do all of your networking while you are on the job, and you're actually in a good position in the job because you're planting the seeds for when you actually need to tap into your network. But just as important is to do the right kind of network, right? Don't network, if you're in financial services, for example, or if you're in entertainment, don't network with your local realtor. That person is probably not going to be able to
Mhm.
help you when you're ready to take the next step. So be very deliberate. LinkedIn is perfect for this, by the way, because
Absolutely.
you can go in there and you can be very deliberate about the type of people that you want to network. The other thing that works 100% is you do not necessarily need to network with the people that have already met you. One thing
Mhm.
that I recommend, and I talk a lot about in the book, is find people that have an affinity with you. Maybe you went to the same school. Maybe you have a similar, demographic background. Maybe you grew up in a similar place. I've networked with people that I've never met, and what we have in common is we're both from South America, and this person happens to be a very important person, at Goldman Sachs in New York. Hey, just I send a message in Spanish, and it's like we connect, and maybe that just kind of sits there for a year or two. I check in once a year because you just never know when that's going to be the contact. But reaching out cold when
Yeah.
you have the open to work banner, maybe that's perhaps a little bit too late. So the point here is, yes, networking is essential. It should be a year-round activity for you, but be
Mhm.
very deliberate and very smart about how you do that. Now, the other part of this is the resume, right? So people still look at resumes, and
Mhm.
Lauren and I were talking about resumes, and so Lauren, share with folks your thoughts on resumes.
Yeah. I really think for something that is so crucial that people really don't invest the time. I mean, we've been all guilty of it, of not dusting off the cobwebs or just kind of throwing something together to get down the road. And I get it. Like nobody likes resumes. I always like to say that they're your do not pass go cannot collect $200 without a resume. Like you have to have it, right? They've been around since the test of time. But I really think a concept that people don't reflect on enough is the importance of the first impression again. Just like I said with the Will Rogers quote, just like the LinkedIn. Truthfully, that is a first impression. Hiring managers, the average is 6 to 8 seconds that someone spends on it. So, how are you articulating your value and putting your best foot forward? And I guess the biggest thing that I feel is that people not seeing it as their future career value is like the biggest investment that you make in your entire life. We all invest, our retirement or those kinds of things. But like, think about this, like, your career is the biggest thing at stake. Let's say, for instance, $100,000 salary. Okay. And if you were investing that $100,000 into the stock markets or into whatever, are you just going to go out there and get any investor off the street that's going to go invest it in penny stocks or just anybody you find? Or are you going to be strategic in who you find, of someone that knows what they're doing, knows how to make you distinctive, and knows how to separate you and give you that feedback? And Juan, that's where I really highly encourage of the using a professional to stand in and really finding a professional that's right for you, perhaps like that's in your industry, knows how to pull everything out. I always like to say through my academy, I like to just peel off the layers to really be able to show your true value. And when you think of it in that aspect, and the fact that this is an investment that's not just for landing the next job, that's how I like to look at your career. It's not just, oh, I got my next job. How you go and get into your next job is what sets you up for your long-term career success, whether it's your salary that you're at or whatnot. It really changes your trajectory of your future. And so that investment is so wise that you really need to be putting your best foot forward with a professional. I mean, do you have any insights on that?
All I can tell you about resumes is this. if you're mid-career, it's okay if you take out the high school out of your resume. And if you like golf, nobody cares. Okay.
Yeah.
I've never met somebody that gets hired because, oh my God, I'm an avid golfer and I'm an avid runner.
Mhm.
Because that's, what you're hoping is that somebody will be a golfer like you. Nobody's going to hire you for that. So
Oh, I love
Lauren,
that discussion.
Lauren
Honestly,
dispenses great advice. It's just like it really is an art form, a great resume. So if and there's a lot of resources online right now. And by the
yeah.
way, ChatGPT won't do it right for you. I've
Oh
tried
no.
it.
No, no, no,
You,
no,
you
no.
need you need a
It's the
pro.
feedback,
Yeah,
honestly. It's the
yeah,
true feedback you get, right? Because one, just as you brought up, you like, man, I am so proud that I was an awesome golfer in college, right? And so it's hard for you to perhaps remove that from your resume.
yeah.
But someone that might step in and is like, one, I hate to break
Nobody
it to you,
cares.
nobody cares. And it's time to take your college stuff off. You are in your, like, nobody, it's
I
time to
was
take
I
some of
was
those things.
social chairman of my sorority.
No,
Okay,
nobody
well,
cares. Like, I
good for
hate to break
you.
it to you, but it's like that kind of feedback that you yourself like don't maybe recognize, that you really cannot put a price tag on, of getting that direct feedback. And I think that's where it's so valuable that you need to get somebody to help you with your resume.
That's right. And part of that is uniqueness. What is it that is so special about you? Which I understand those types of things are hard to capture in a resume. But that's actually strategy number 4 that we want to kind of share with you guys today, is how to play up and leverage those things that make you you, right? So I'll give you a real life story from, like, I'm going back 20, 25 years to a financial institution in Charlotte, North Carolina. And I remember, going in there and having a conversation with a colleague. And this is when the conversation gets real. And then she goes to me, she goes, well, it's like she has such a heavy accent. And I'm thinking, okay, well, can you understand what she says? It's like, yeah, perfectly, but she has such a heavy accent. Well, all right, let's think this through. Okay, the reason the person has a heavy accent is because the person speaks another language.
Mhm.
And lo and behold, what seems to be, and at that point in time, seemed to be a disadvantage for that professional, is actually a competitive advantage. Because
Mhm.
there are jobs where you actually are required to speak that other language. Oh, and by the way, everybody has an accent. Lauren has an
Yeah,
accent, I have an accent. And I don't, because an
that's true.
accent is just the way you speak. And if you get on an airplane and you go 5 hours this way or the other way, you have an accent, even if you're a native English speaker. So if you that's an example of those types of things that are uniquely yours. The other thing Lauren and I have talked about a lot, and which I would love to do is maybe in a future episode, is talk about those things that women have that are real true competitive advantages. Women are very intuitive. Um, they capture and they see things, and I'm generalizing, of course,
Mm.
so hopefully I won't get any hate mail from this. But I mean, I live with 3 women, my 2 daughters and my wife, and sometimes they sense and they capture things that I
Yeah.
can't. It really is a superpower when channel and apply in a corporate setting, in a business setting. It can really give you an advantage. I've gone to business meetings with my female colleagues, and it takes me a while to kind of read certain circumstances, and for them it's just like instant. So it really is, it's a superpower. It's sort of like
Yeah.
being able to see through walls, or be transparent, and this kind of thing. So the specific advice here for those of you guys that are listening is simply this: take inventory of all those things that make you, quote, different, unique. And in that inventory, you're going to see a whole bunch of things that are actually competitive advantages in disguise. And that may sound counterintuitive, right? Especially if you're a person of color, or if you're a woman, right? You would think, well, I come to the market, to the job, to the job market with certain inherent disadvantages. They're actually advantages in disguise. You just have to be smart enough to, again, first take inventory of those things and then map that against what the marketplace needs. And you're going to find there's a whole bunch of matches. And that's what's going to put you above the competition, and it's going to unlock those new opportunities. So we have time for one more. It's probably the most important one, number 5, and that is never close doors. So what's up with that, Lauren?
Absolutely. And I think with that, if people are engaging in it, I guess it kind of feeds in back to the networking piece. And, as you're visiting with people and you're making connections, whether it's mentors or I'm going to just address the elephant in the room. It's a recruiter, a headhunter. I really do not like that word at all. I like people ask me what's my job title. I say talent specialist. I don't like the word headhunter because I just feel like it has a negative vibe behind that, right? And so I guess my thing is never close doors to an opportunity to hop on for 5 or 10 minutes to visit about, the market outlook, what's going on in the industry, what's trending, what jobs and things are out there. And I say that because you might not be wanting to switch a job right now, but things transpire and it takes time for these opportunities to come. And if you have it out there of what your future goals are, when that right opportunity lands, that recruiter knows exactly who you are. Or, a lot of times, I'll be honest, a lot of the times the people that I place or an opportunity that I place them in, there might not even be a position that's out there live to the world, but yet I know about it. And like, that's the thing is they've got connections, I guess, behind the doors that you might not be out there to the public. Or a lot of times that I place people that might not even be looking for a job, but that's the opportunity that they were
Right.
seeking futurely.
Lauren, is it true that the best jobs in the marketplace are often not posted? Because I keep hearing that.
Absolutely. I
Truth or false?
100%.
Yeah.
I 100% agree to that. And that's the thing too, like some of the firms that I work with, you know, at the beginning of the year, they might be like, hey, I'm planning to be looking for these type of people, that I'll plan to be hiring as the budget opens up, but this is what I see down the road. Okay. So it's not necessarily posted out there. And they primarily do it because if they can do it without, get the right talent in for it. And so that's where you need to get your name in the door that how I kind of look at things differently. I get the question often asked of, so do you have job postings out there somewhere? And I don't, because it kind of goes back to what I was saying. I really like to shine you forth as a leader, as a true professional in the industry with your value, your uniqueness as a highlight rather than just filling a job position. Like I really believe it's about your career and your future than that. And so, long story short, I mean, I just really believe that be open to those conversations of put it out there. Might not be looking for anything now, but don't shut the door because you never know when the right opportunity is coming your way.
That's right. Couldn't agree more. All right. So looking at the clock, I think we try to keep this to 20 minutes because it's lunchtime for some and folks are busy. Um, so let's talk about some recommendations and some calls to action. You go first, Lauren.
Yeah, absolutely. So we'd love to hear back again some of your feedback and perhaps some big topic areas that you're seeing out there in the marketplace that you would like us to uncover. If you want to ask more questions on today's topics, definitely post them out there in the comments. Someone else might have the same comment or same questions as you. So don't be afraid to post those out there. Shoot them to our DMs. Come out and find Juan and I are both on LinkedIn, of course. And then we want to invite you, of course. So Juan has his book out there that's very similar to the topics that I cover in my academy, but he's got his book out there. It's you can find it out there, right, on
That's right.
juansilvera.com or out there on
Amazon.
Amazon.
It's called Improbably
And
Successful, right?
yeah,
And
absolutely.
still
So
$9.99. Hasn't gone up.
yes, so it's a small little investment. And I'm very big when I talk about this in my academy. Your professional development is so big for your future. And so diving into something like that, it's a real quick and easy read. So definitely take a look into that opportunity of improbable success. Is it improbable success or
Probably
improbable
successful, right?
successful? Right. So take a look at that. Definitely come out, follow us. Like I said, LinkedIn. I'm out there on Instagram and Facebook as well. And I get questions. I've been having this week of, Lauren, when's your next masterclass? So I will be posting a link here for my next masterclass wait list. The next masterclass, or, I just do these periodically as they are truly a free class that I leave open for out there a week. And then it's just a brief of what to expect in my academy, where I help you stand out through your resume, your LinkedIn, and your unique advantage, and of course, networking. So be looking for that. I'll post the link if you'd like to hop on my wait list and my to get notification about that. I will post that here. Or if you've got any other questions about my academy, please feel free to DM me. It's also out there. It'll be out there on my YouTube channel. This replay, if you guys missed the first session, the replay will be out there on that. What else are we missing, Juan?
No, I think that's it. Other than just thank folks who tuned in live, and for those that are seeing the replay, do let us know if you find
This
value
helpful?
in these conversations, and then because this is fun for us, believe it or not. I mean, it's
Yeah,
work, but
we
it's
enjoy it.
fun. But
We can
anyway, hey
we could
Lauren,
talk
thanks.
forever.
Yeah, thanks again for hosting, folks. Reach out if you guys want to say hello or for whatever reason. But otherwise, we'll see you next time.
Absolutely. Yes. And anything you would like us to cover, please let us know. So we're excited to do it. Everyone, have a great rest of your day and weekend. Thank y'all.